Hi there, Crafts and Create Club. Welcome to this month's video. Today's box, we are going to be making 3 different projects. We have some soap, then a bamboo soap dish, and some bamboo wind chimes. So, let's see what's in our box. All right, let's see what's inside. So, starting off, we have our instruction booklet as well as our bonus activities. Then, we have 5 big bamboo sticks and 2 little ones. 6 skinny bamboo sticks, a wooden ring, and then we have some twine, embroidery thread just like we used last month. We have 3 little soap molds, so we gave you guys some flowers and you may have even gotten a little leaf. Then we have this container that has essential oils in it, as well as 2 different colors of pigment, which we're gonna use to color our soaps. We've got a bag with a whole bunch of different kinds of flowers in it, a bag with some beads in it, and then lastly, we've got our soap base. Before we start, there are some other things you're going to need. So, some scissors, and then for our soap, we're going to need a knife to cut our soap with, some spoons to stir our soap, and then I have 1 big bowl that I'm going to use to melt my soap in, and then 2 smaller jars that I'm going to separate my soap into. Lastly, if you have your needle left over from last month's project, it would be very helpful for your wind chime. If not, you'll be good. Let's get started. Our first project is going to be our soap. From our box, we're going to need our soap base, our bag of flowers, our 3 molds, and our little strip of pots with our pigments and essential oil. From home, as we said before, you're going to need a big bowl, 1 or 2 little bowls, and then some spoons and a knife, and lastly some papers or something to cut on. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with just a piece of paper. You can use a cutting board. I just put down a few sheets of paper, and then I'm going to open up my soap and I'm going to cut it into a few pieces. So I'm just cutting it into a few cubes, and then I'm going to throw this into a big bowl. Okay, so now what we're going to do is melt our soap. I took my big bowl and I put it into the microwave for a minute. However, I checked it after 30 seconds and mine was melted. So you want to be really careful not to cook your soap too long because it can burn or explode all over. So if after 30 seconds it is not fully melted, go ahead and stir it up, and then you're going to go ahead and put it in for 10 seconds at a time until it is fully melted. Before we separate our soap into our bowls, you guys have the option to add some lavender essential oil. So we're just going to open up this little pot and dump it all in, and then we're going to mix it really good. Okay, now my soap is fully melted, so I'm going to go ahead and separate this into my 2 little jars. You can put as much as you'd like into each, and you can do all your soap white, you can do all your soap one color, you can mix your colors of pigment. It is completely up to you, but I said to do 3 different colors. So I'm going to carefully go ahead and open up my pigments, and I'm just going to start off with a little bit because we can always add more later. Alright, then I'm going to stir that in, and sometimes when you do this, because of all the stirring, our soap is going to cool off and it gets a little stringy. So go ahead and mix all your pigments in, and then we're going to throw those back into the microwave for about 10 seconds just to melt them back down. Okay, I'm back. My soaps are melted. I'm going to stir one final time just to really get them mixed up, and now we can start to put them into our molds. First, I'm going to lay out all 3 of my molds and have them ready to go. Starting off, I'm going to take a little bit of my blue soap and just put it against the edges. This way my petals are going to be blue. You guys can do whatever methods that you would like with this. Feel free to use your creativity. Then, for my yellow mold, I'm going to go ahead and put some gold right in the middle and just there, so the middle's gold and the outsides are white. Next, I'm going to take out some of my flowers and I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle those into the soap. For my yellow one, I decided to do the lavender. As you're doing this, your soap might start to melt a little bit, so you want to go ahead and keep stirring it. Then I'm going to pour my soap into my yellow mold. Next, I'm going to put my blue soap into the bottom of my leaf mold. Once my soaps are set, I'm going to go ahead and add some flowers in there in between the layers. so I'm gonna take some little white buds and put them on top of my leaves. Next, I'm just gonna carefully spoon in my white soap all over the top of these. And like I said before, you guys can do anything you want. Be totally creative with it. Now we're gonna put these aside to let the soap set and fully harden. Once the soaps are fully hardened, we can now demold them. So we're gonna go ahead and just tug at the edges of the mold a little bit to make sure that it's nice and loose, and then we can go ahead and pull it out, and there's our little soap. Our next project is gonna be our bamboo soap holder. So we're gonna need our bundle of 5 large bamboo sticks with the 2 little ones, and then our twine. Starting off, we're going to fold each piece of our twine in half and leave about 3 inches before we tie a knot. Now we're gonna sandwich our bamboo stick in between those 2 pieces of twine and tie not 1, but 2 knots. Then we'll repeat this on the other side with the other piece of twine. Now we can go ahead and add in our second piece of bamboo, and once again, sandwich in there and tie 2 knots on each side. We're gonna repeat this for the rest of our big pieces of bamboo, making sure that they lay nice and flat. Okay, now we can add our little pieces. First thing we're gonna do is cut those loops right in half. Now we're gonna go ahead and feed those ends through to the other side of our dish, which is just gonna make it seem a little more finished. And now we're gonna put our little piece of bamboo right in between there and just double knot it. We're gonna do this on each side of our little bamboo stick, and then repeat on the other side of our soap dish with the other stick. The last thing we're gonna do is trim all of our edges, and then we are done. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our soap dish and we're gonna go ahead and set all 3 of our soaps on there. It fits 3 absolutely perfectly, and now you can display them in your bathroom or your kitchen. Okay, so now we're gonna make our wind chimes. We're gonna need our bundle of small bamboo sticks, our wooden ring, our needle from our last month's box, if you have it, our beads, and lastly, our embroidery thread. The first thing I'm gonna do is just unbundle my bamboo sticks, and now I'm gonna pull out about 2 feet of string, and I'm gonna end up alternating these a little bit so our lengths are different. Now, this is where your needle's gonna come in hand. So we're gonna wanna thread that string into our needle, and it's a little bit easier if you kind of lick the end of the string or just lick your fingers and smooth it out so that it can go nice and flat in there. And once we get it in there, we're just gonna pull out about 1 inch and then fold it in half. And now we're gonna feed this into the top of our bamboo stick. You might have to stick it a little bit so that the first strings get through, and then we're gonna shake it and the needle will come out of the bottom. If you don't have your needle, it's okay. You can still thread it down there, it just might be a little more difficult. Now we're gonna repeat this with the rest of our sticks. Okay, so now we're gonna use our beads, and once again our needle's gonna come in hand. We want to thread that string back onto our needle, and we're gonna poke that right through the beads. You have to do at least 1 bead at the bottom because that's what's gonna make sure that our bamboo doesn't fall, but you can do as many as you like. If you don't have your needle, you can go ahead and try to lick that end and put it through the bead. If not, we suggest to use some tape and kind of roll it around the string and then feed that through. Now that our bead is threaded, we're gonna go ahead and tie some knots right after it. So I tied about 3 knots, but you wanna pull on your bead and make sure that it can't get through. Now go ahead and repeat that with all of your bamboo sticks. All right, so now I have all my sticks, and I'm gonna go ahead and add some more beads at the top. If you added all yours at the bottom, you don't have to do this. If you just want the one on the bottom, you can leave it like that, whatever you guys would like to do. I'm gonna do this the same exact way I did the other ones, just by simply threading my needle. All right, when you're adding your beads on, something else that you can do is add some knots so that the heights of the beads kind of vary on your string. This is totally up to you. I didn't add any on mine because I like to put it next to the bamboo, but you do whatever you'd like. All right, so now I've got my beads on there, and we can start tying these to our ring. We've given you 8 bamboo sticks, so if you'd like, you can put all those on your ring. You can put 6, you can put 5, how many ever you'd like to do. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tie these around our ring, and I kind of did mine even in the circle, but whatever you'd like. I also did my first one, my pink one, about 3 inches hanging, and then my next one I did it about 5 inches hanging. So you can go ahead and test this, raise it up, hold it up to see what it looks like, and adjust those lengths as you'd like. Going forward, I just alternated these lengths back and forth, but you can do them exactly how you like. All right, now I'm gonna find 3 different ends of my string, and I'm gonna pull these all together. We wanna kind of make sure that they're evenly distributed around the circle. We're gonna pull these together and tie about 3 knots. If you'd like, you can tie a loop. However, I decided to just leave mine loose. All right, the last thing we're gonna do is just go ahead and trim all of our ends. We have our ends on the hoop, our ends by our knot at the top, and then our ends at the bottom. You can leave these long, you can leave them short, whatever you like. All right, guys, so here it is. This is our wind chime. I decided to just use 6 sticks on mine, but you can do how many ever you'd like. All right, guys, here we go. We have our 3 different projects for this month. We really hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you send us your pictures on Facebook and Instagram and use the hashtag Crafts and Create Club. Have a wonderful week, guys. We'll see you back next month. Goodbye.